My topic would be autonomy and reclaiming autonomy. That is what I want to talk about. Reclaiming implies that something is lost somewhere. But I would want to put it into the context of the theme of this TEDxAnuragU talk series. That is Untangle. So there is also a prompt from this poster here, which shows there is a brain which is entangled, and you are supposed to patiently unwind it and wind it into a neat spiral for you to be able to perform. But my view is a little different, and I think it is much more complex. I would say the entanglement is multi-stranded, and it is to be understood that a strand of it is put by the parents in terms of their anxieties and expectations from you, and their own belief system or their own thinking. And another strand is put by the schools and the teachers, who constantly talk about the discipline and the rules and things like that. Beyond that, they also dump a copious amount of data into your limited memory, virtually blocking it. They call it knowledge, curriculum, whatever it is. This is also a tangle, and you have the influencers in the society who put in their prejudices and biases into you. And not to say the least, there are imposers of identity on you, which mostly come from the culture. They tell you you belong to a particular caste, that you belong to a particular religion, and there are some set norms, and you are supposed to be within those norms. They never allow you the scope to choose your own set of identities based on your thinking. And whatever, your choices are blocked in some ways. This is the entanglement that we have to untangle. And untangling for what purpose? Because it is confining our potential, it is restricting, it is binding us. So we have to break loose so that we can perform and reap some rewards. They could be the normal material rewards like your career growth, your money, and those things are more important. You would expect some sense of satisfaction from what you are doing and a sense of fulfillment as well. All these things put together, if I can concise them to one word, I would be fairly good if I say, I want to untangle my potential to be happy. And the question then arises as to how. This is where my reclaiming the autonomy, which I am proposing, is the master key to untangle your potential to be happy. There are two new words, the reclaiming and autonomy. Let me first explain what I think is autonomy. For me or for you, in simple words, autonomy means your freedom to choose what you want to do, or your freedom to think in whichever direction you want to think. It is so simple. It is far easier. I am going to illustrate it to you through a child, 3 years old, which is you yourself. In the following clips you can see, and I'll talk of reclaiming after we see these clips.
I don't want to cut it here. I want to cut it there.
ఇక్కడైతే సన్న ఉంది, బాగుంది. అక్కడ చల్లగా ఉంది, ఇక్కడ ఎండ లేదు. ఇంకా నా పని ఇక్కడే ఉంది, అక్కడ లేదు. దా ఇక్కడ వేద్దాం మొక్కలు. నీ పని అక్కడే ఉందా? ఏం పని ఉంది నీకు అక్కడ? పద చూపి, ఏం పని చెయ్యి, చూస్తా. నేనా ఇవి అడుగుతున్నాయి వాటర్ కావాలని, ఎందుకని వాటర్ వేసాను. వాటికి దాహం వేస్తుంది. వాటికి అన్నం కూడా అదే కదా, మనం నీళ్ళు పోస్తేనే కదా అవి అన్నం చేసుకుంటాయి, అందుకని.
ఫ్యాన్తో అన్నం చేసుకుంటాయా
నీళ్ళు తీసుకుని దాంతో
అమ్మ
How many choices do I have?
waffle and cupcake and donut and pizza.
That's what you're making. How many choices?
Only.
How many?
Only.
Okay. Who are you making for?
ఇంకా చాలు.
ఎవరి కోసం?
నీకోసం ఇవన్ కోసం నాకు.
అవునా?
ఇంకా ఎవరు?
ఆంటీ కూడా ఉంటారు.
ఆంటీ పిలుస్తా.
ఓకే.
ఇంకా ఎవరు?
నిర్వాణ్ వస్తాడు.
ఎవరు?
నిర్వాణ్.
నిర్వాణ కురికిస్తా.
ఓకే.
వచ్చినప్పుడే.
ఓకే.
ఎప్పుడు వస్తారు?
ఫస్ట్ ఇవాన్ వస్తాడు. ఆఫ్టర్ దట్ నిర్వాణ్. ఆఫ్టర్ సమ్ టైమ్.
సరే.
ఓకే.
ఇప్పుడు వరకు రూపాకి నీకు నాకు.
ఓకే.
సరేనా?
బాయ్.
చేస్తా.
ఓకే.
ఇక్కడ ఆగు.
ఓకే.
వచ్చినప్పుడు ఆగి చెప్తున్నా.
ఆ?
నేను వచ్చినప్పుడు ఆగి చెప్తున్నా.
ఓకే బేబీ.
వాటర్ కూడా తెస్తా.
వాటర్ కూడానా? వావ్, సో థాట్ఫుల్.
నాకు వాటర్ వస్తుంది.
వస్తుందా? సరే ఉండు.
So, do you see yourself the role being played by my granddaughter Anjali? And the takeaways from these clips are: in the first clip, you have prevailed upon your granny to move to a work spot of your choice. And on the way, you found water all around and you asked why. And having got a reply that, the plants are thirsty and they are asking for water, you went further and you speculated on your own. To extend the thought, you are actually thinking and you are speculating, saying that do plants make their food with sand, which is your own original thinking. So these show that you are able to assert your freedom. You had a quest, you have a capacity to observe, and further, you are actively thinking. All these put together is the critical thinking, which we talk high of and demonstrated at that young age. And the next clip, you are dealing with choices. You prepared a menu for your mother and her friends. You also, very readily included more guests into it. And then you thoughtfully included water. So you were playing actually, but you are very serious at your play. That's what I call is the creative thinking. Thus, it is clear to us that we had this when we were 3. The autonomy was with us, innate in us, so that we are able to grow. What happened thereafter? What went wrong? That, we are now talking of reclaiming it. I would say that you started going to school. Something must have happened there. The schools have an entirely opposite atmosphere to what we have seen so far here. You were, in the preschool days, you were trusted by your elders that you can learn. And you were given the space to learn at your pace with your choices. And you are also learning through your experience. All these are systematically removed. If you take an overview, you would see that the rural schools are in total neglect. The urban schools are caught up in their own reputations of achieving ranks. And they found the rote mode as the sure shot way of getting those ranks. And the teachers themselves believe that they are instructors, not in any way collaborators in learning. And for an instructor, it becomes more important that there is order, there is a pin drop silence. There is no scope for active choices. You can't allow the child to ask questions in between or make noise, etc. All that is removed. So in such a situations, you would automatically lose certain degrees of your autonomy. And autonomy, we saw, is very important for your learning and for your growth. If that is taken away, you end up, in a bad situation. And if I were to make a drastic statement, that as of now, if the present school system, studying there is like, you mark those words, the student dying. Studying is student dying, albeit with a rank certificate. This is what is precious, the life or the rank? With equating life and rank in this manner, are we not being inhuman about it? So this is something that has to change. If only the teachers realize when a child is moving from the known to unknown, she is actively doing some learning. And the teacher's role should be to pay importance to the question rather than the answer. Which becomes important, the question or the answer? I'll prove it to you. With ChatGPT, with Google and all other resources that are at hand for you, answers are available, isn't it? Plenty. If only you know how to frame the question. So teachers should concentrate on this. And I have a couple of suggestions also if any school is wanting to fit into the transition. It is like this. Let us together speculate on this. For example, if a weekday, one day in a week, if you can start it with a quest hour and pursue it throughout the day by the students themselves forming a vertical peer group, a class above and a class below, and they pursue the quest till it is quenched. Why? Why can't we spare one day in a week for that? The second is, why can't we have a break month every year starting from class 7th so that the child can do her own project or alternatively, if they feel it necessary, go back to the previous level if they need some clarity on their concept or whatever it is. Give them the freedom. 1 month during the curriculum, give it as a break month. But who is to hear? Let us see. And this being the situation, you had a brief respite when you were in the adolescent age, overlapping these last years in the school, where your hormones told you can break loose and defy as much as you want. I would ask all of you, in the last 5 years, how many of you had a fight with your parent, a verbal fight? Only one. So you let that wonderful phase pass by because you fell back into the comfort of the parental care, which is an extended thing in our culture. You also, or if I can accuse, got lured by the inheritable properties. Otherwise, you should have, in a normal course, defied some of those things and maybe you would patch up later. So that being the thing, now at this stage where you are at the crossroads of your life, reclaiming your autonomy becomes very important. And I assure you that the moment of awareness that we have lost autonomy is the starting point at which reclamation also starts. Like any other change that happens with all changes, isn't it? You have to be first be aware of. And with that comes a lot of energy, a surge of energy. And if you have heard any of your icons speak about their life, they would have talked about these moments where you would see a doctor becoming an actor after 10 years of study. You would see an engineer becoming a filmmaker, somebody else becoming something by making their autonomous choice later or sooner, whatever it is. When they make the choice, their passion comes to form and you have a surge of energy and you, of course, like all of you have tremendous energy, you have that brain power to regenerate and reclaim and retain the autonomy to the fullest degree, as we have seen. Now I would ask you this simple question. I hope for some response. where would you rate the child you saw at age 3 on the scale of happiness? 10. Where would you rate yourself now? Somewhere low. Isn't it? If our goal is to lead a good life, a happy life, then we should reclaim it. Wake up at that moment of awareness. Wake up, take the call, respond, jump onto the bus. I can assure you that life would be full of excitement. If nothing else, I can say with conviction that you will at least lead a life of no regret. And having said so much about autonomy, I have to run a list of disclaimers of what autonomy is not and what we should not misconstrue it as to be. They are, autonomy is not getting into isolation. Autonomy is not, breaking up relationship. Autonomy is not, you are being hostile to others. Autonomy is not hurting others. Autonomy is not even being ad hoc or fanatic or falling into blind faith. Autonomy is not even dominating others. You have to respect the autonomy of others. You cannot transgress into the other people's spaces. And I'll also say this much, that autonomy is not necessarily linked with money or name or fame. These are not the yardsticks. The only yardstick that you can apply is how exciting your life is, how much you are enjoying your life, and that's about all. And on the contrary, we have to realize that autonomy is full responsibility for your life as well as a responsibility for discharging your due role in the environment around you, which includes all the people around you, the community, the nation. You can take it to any level. The taking up the responsibility is the most important thing in wanting to be autonomous. And I'll repeat, I'm saying that, we had autonomy as an innate characteristic to allow us to grow when we were 18 months old and on, and we lost it somewhere for no fault of ours. And we realized that we have to reclaim it to live a meaningful life. And we also know what autonomy is not and what it is, that it is worthwhile if we realize our responsibility. I can also say one more thing. You're taking the rationalistic approach to life will be of great help. What, why, and how are good companions for you. And having said this much, I would say thank you.